interesting summation from the world of a large bank. And Morgan Stanley, as of about a year ago, became one of the largest banks in the country after a very abbreviated approval process, not quite like what I had to go through. But I'm going to bring the world and the room down to the microfinance side because I'm a very small bank in Atlanta, probably the smallest, and have a different approach to really talk about how we connect with the rest of the world. Meet the World is a very appropriate title for this gathering today because I recognize many friends from many different interests and sources of places in the world through a variety of sources in the various international chambers, and our friends in the diplomatic corps, and other business professionals that work with this community. Sunrise Bank of Atlanta is 3.5 years old, and I like to reflect that our founding was a bit of meeting the world. We had organizing directors or starting employees who came from no fewer than China, Puerto Rico, India, Korea, Ecuador, Ethiopia, Jamaica, even Alabama. And no one has challenged my assertion that I've been making for 3.5 years that there has never been a more diversified board of directors to start a bank in the United States. We even had women on our board of directors. Aghast. But that group of people certainly was a very meaningful strategy and had a very rich results. One of our founding directors had to resign in May in anticipation of a new job that he was planning to take. And I believe he claimed it yesterday. Kasim Reed, who's the new mayor of Atlanta, is part of our founding. So we're very proud for him and that he was a part of our bank. So what does it mean to talk about community banking in a small enterprise that's about the size of one branch of Bank of America, as an example to compare? What we do in our approach is decidedly different based on our size and the scale that we bring to our business. We do actually deliver personal service because there's no one to refer you to. There's no telephone tree to send you around to dozens of voices because we all have to handle a number of responsibilities. We do create custom solutions because in many ways our platform is more confined to basic elements with which we customize the approach as to how we manage the challenges and opportunities that face our clients. There's fewer layers of management, which is often to the advantage of our clients because authority is centralized at the front door. If you need an answer, it's not far to find your way from customer service to the president of the bank. So what does that mean for international clients, and what difference does it make, and why should they be interested? And I'll be very transparent and honest. International business was not in our original business plan. It was an opportunity we stumbled across and thought through and took advantage of very early on. In the United States, you all must know that over the past 30 years there's been an increasing level of tightening of banking regulations based on efforts to fight money laundering. Money laundering is nothing new, has been going on for centuries, but in the United States, using the power of bank charters and federal and state control of the banking industry, the government has used this as a tool to fight laundering for drug trafficking, human trafficking, and most recently, terrorism. The advent of the Patriot Act and the Bank Secrecy Act were tools designed to ensure that banks were very compliant and very cognizant of the responsibilities and penalties they carried if they ignored these activities which were prohibited under federal law. Now, the advent of these regulations meant a lot more effort on the part of banks to do something as simple as verify who our clients are. So if you opened up an account 20 years ago at one of those large banks, you probably walked in, answered about 3 questions about your name and your address, and then checkbook in your hand. And today, you have to tell your mother's maiden name, you have to give some piece of paper verifying where your address is, some government document saying it's really your social security number, and more tests so that we can assure ourselves and therefore assure our regulators that we know who you are and exactly who we're doing business with. Obviously, for a lot of major banks that may have 4, 5, 6,000 branches across the fruited plain, this becomes a huge training issue if we have to do something very different for a very small segment of our potential business stream. Enter in foreign nationals who come to our country. They don't come on one big plane, or they don't arrive in mass at the airport so that you can just section them off, but they dribble in and coming here to do business and to invest capital. Our size means that we can take the extra time with our staff, who's been highly trained, to enact a strategy to ensure we comply with all applicable laws, but also we serve the client and meet their most basic need, unlike the investment bankers here, just opening a checking account. Some of the horror stories I have heard in the last 2.5 years about difficulty people face opening a checking account would bring tears to your eyes. They go through the trouble of getting a visa, they go through all the efforts to get in and get checked out. The Homeland Security is fine with them, the State Department is fine with them, but the local branch of a big bank just shuns them away.